21st. And we've already had a pretty active weather morning across the Buckeye State. So we're going to dive right into some active weather currently happening and, excuse me, the potential for some more strong thunderstorms to develop over the next few hours. So we'll get into that all very, very shortly. Just give me one moment to make sure all of my streaming connections are working properly. And if you are having audio issues or can't hear me for some reason, just let me know and I'll try to address that. But it looks like our stream is live and running, so we're going to roll with what we've got. All right, so why don't we start with our current and active severe thunderstorms? And that would be in a couple locations. The first location is here in far eastern Ohio, northeast Ohio, across Columbiana, Carroll, and a very, very, very small portion of Jefferson County. This is a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect, and it'll be in effect for the next 25 minutes until 1 o'clock. With this storm, a 60-mile-per-hour wind is possible. And I'm not really seeing much of a threat for hail in this storm. So that's good. But the wind is going to be the main threat. And really, at all today, the wind is going to be the main threat. We are going to be looking at the potential for some strong wind in any storms that develop throughout the day. But let's dive right into what's going on. In fact, I do believe that Lisbon, which is right in the middle of Columbiana County, the county seat actually, is being impacted by this storm the most, and then even back here in northern Carroll County as well, north of Carrollton. So this is the heavy rain that's associated with the storm, but let's take a look at the wind. We'll switch to our velocity mode, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of severe wind potential. We are using the radar site out of Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh National Weather Service is actually the closest radar site to Columbiana and Carroll County, which have good radar coverage because it's so close to the Pittsburgh site. Let's take a look at the Pittsburgh Airport radar, which is very close. It's really not that far from East Liverpool, and I'm not seeing any damaging wind threat at the moment, which is good news. I can switch to a couple of different radar products here, and I'm really not seeing a whole lot of bright coloring. I'm definitely not seeing any rotation, so that's good news. Part of me believes that this thunderstorm has dropped below severe limits, but it's still probably producing some gusty wind and some heavy rain and some lightning. But that severe thunderstorm warning will continue until 1 o'clock. All right, why don't we head down to this next one down here? This is actually for a small portion of the Mid-Ohio Valley, the MOV, including Washington County and a very small portion of Athens County. But I do think that portion of Athens County is out of the threat of this severe thunderstorm. One spot that's really seeing it a lot right now is Belpre. Why don't we switch over to the Charleston, West Virginia radar? That's probably going to give us the best view of this storm. And it does. And this storm actually looks quite a bit more impressive than the one in Columbiana County. So this includes the stretch of I-77 from Marietta all the way down well past Parkersburg, West Virginia. So if you know anyone traveling that stretch of highway, it's a pretty busy stretch of highway. But Belpre, Parkersburg, we could even be seeing some hail on the West Virginia side of this storm. Let's take a look at velocity. All right, well, I'm still not seeing a whole lot of impressive wind signatures on velocity here. I do see maybe what appears to be very broad rotation. So what I mean by that is we have green on the radar and red on the radar. They're not very close to each other. If this were a real tornado concern, the red and green would be not only very bright, but the pixels would be right next to each other. A bright pixel of red and a bright pixel of green. That's not what's happening. We could see winds that are maybe trying to rotate, but there is no immediate tornado threat with this at this time. I believe that the main threat with this is going to be heavy rain, maybe some hail, and some very isolated gusts of wind. And the statement from the Weather Service out of Charleston even says right here, the storms which prompted the warning have weakened below severe limits. So that's good news. And it's going to be moving out of our coverage area as well. But if you are still following us from the MOV area, if you live maybe in West Virginia or know people that do, we're going to want to keep an eye on this storm because if we look at the whole state, while these two severe thunderstorm warnings are the only issues right now, we are going to start to see some more development as we go into the afternoon. A lot of us have already seen thunderstorms for the first half of the day, but many of you, including myself here on the south side of Columbus, have noticed the sun is starting to come out again. And as the sun starts to come out again, that could re-energize the atmosphere after this morning's storms and potentially drive a severe weather threat into this afternoon. So let's take a look at what's going on here. And hello everyone who's joined us. I am going to try to do answer as many questions as I can, and try to cover what to expect across the whole state. So that's what we're going to do here. All right. So what I'm going to do is instead of the radar, I'm going to show you a clip from the Storm Prediction Center's website. This is a product known as mesoscale analysis, and all it is it gives us a little bit of data as to what's happening right now in the atmosphere. We're kind of at the point where we're not even going to rely on computer models anymore. We're now casting. We're seeing here's what's happening right now and how that might influence how the rest of the afternoon goes. Because we've already had thunderstorms this morning, that influences how the rest of the day goes. It either steals the energy for later development, which is kind of the case, but also if we still get enough sun, those early day thunderstorms can also influence how later day storms develop given some sunshine. And the cold front that's coming through and helping develop all these storms hasn't passed yet. So we still have some energy to tap into. So what we're looking at right now is a visible satellite image, and you can see Ohio is right in the top center of your page. And if you notice, there's some breaks in the clouds developing, especially west of I-71. There's some breaks in the clouds developing. So what that's telling me is those are some areas, particularly right along I-71, that we could see some redevelopment here over the next couple of hours. Maybe even the next hour, we could see some more storms redevelop. And one location that we're kind of seeing that right now is here near Springfield. We have a storm that's trying to fire up, and we also have one up here near Bell Fountain. These are weak, nothing to be concerned about at the moment, but it is showing development. And then we have some heavier showers and storms out here near Zanesville and Coshocton, New Comerstown, Cambridge, Caldwell, New Lex. But these aren't severe either, but they are thunderstorms, and lightning is still dangerous regardless. But then down here, we do have this stronger thunderstorm. We also have another strong storm down near Portsmouth in Scioto County. This is not a severe storm at this time. If we check the velocity on it, I don't see any rotation. I don't see any damaging wind, but I do see maybe right here this purple that could maybe bring some large hail north of Portsmouth or even in Portsmouth here. So again, not severe at the moment, but that's what we've got going on right now. A couple other things to note if we go back to the Storm Prediction Center's website. We are in a region that is being highlighted, and I'm going to try to make this look better on our stream here. Let's see, I can make this bigger screen. There we go. I'll go ahead and... No, I didn't want to do that. I want to... There we go. Okay, so this is what we call a mesoscale discussion, and basically it's an area that's highlighting where severe weather could develop over the next few hours. And right now, the Storm Prediction Center is probably going to issue a severe thunderstorm watch for southern Ohio, meaning that we're expecting redevelopment of storms, and one of the reasons being we're getting some of that energy back. That earlier storms, and even this one down near Parkersburg and Marietta right now is taking some of that energy. We're probably going to get enough back to warrant a severe thunderstorm watch for more storms popping up in southern Ohio. I do think that severe thunderstorm watch is going to stay south of I-70. I highly doubt it's going to include Columbus. They might put Cincinnati in it. Really, what it means, though, is if you're anywhere along and south of I-70, east of I-71, you're going to have a decent chance of some thunderstorms again this afternoon. Now Toledo, places north, not so much. I think there is the chance that some storms pop up, but I think the chance of them being severe is relatively low. You are still in a 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather today. In fact, what we can do is we can look at, you might see Ohio News and Weather. I'm going to put this back up on the screen. Oh, you'll probably see Ohio News and Weather. You make our own versions of these maps. These are outlooks by the Storm Prediction Center of where they think the greatest chance of severe weather is going to be. And as of right now, they really do think that Northwest Ohio is just going to have a couple storms. Areas highlighted in yellow have a greater chance, and the orange has the greatest chance. So that would be Southeast Ohio, south of Columbus, and points like that. Now, I'm getting a couple questions about the Dayton area, and I want to go back to our, what's going on right now page here. So let me readjust the web page so it looks a little better on stream, and you can see me too if you want to, I guess. But all right, there we go. So that is the what's happening now stream. So there's a good deal of sunshine happening in western Ohio, particularly south of I-70. So that would include the Dayton and Cincinnati metro areas. We have a lot of folks that live there, so it's important to talk about. So what's going on over there is interesting. We have a lot of instability in that region of Ohio right now. We're talking very high numbers of energy for storms, very unstable atmosphere. That's what I'm looking at right now. It's really hard to see. You may be able to see some small numbers here on your screen. One says 4,000, one says 3,500, and then down here I see numbers that say about 5,000, 6,000. Basically, that's a measurement of how unstable the air is. Anything over 1 or 2,000 is plenty for severe weather. And when we have that in the 4,000 range, that's almost double the energy we need for a strong thunderstorm. There's that. There's also something we can look at relative to the atmosphere and how much twisting motion we're noticing. It's a product called helicity, but I like to call it twisting motion because I don't know, that just makes more sense to me. But we see a value of about 200 right here, centered over Pickaway and Fairfield County. If you want to get a tornado going, anything above 150 is enough. 200 is plenty. And I'm not saying a tornado is going to happen there, but what I'm saying is there is potential for some strong thunderstorms to continue this afternoon. And we're seeing ingredients for that. Tornadoes have not developed yet. We've had a couple strong thunderstorms, but what I'm saying is south of I-70, we could still see some storms redeveloping over the next couple of hours. So that's essentially what we're looking at here. And another thing we can look at what's going up a little bit higher in the atmosphere. And anytime, oops, let me get that out of your way here. Anytime you see any of these lines indicating spin in the atmosphere, it's there. So there is some spin in the atmosphere. We can look at something too called the supercell composite. We've got relatively high numbers of supercell composite stretching all the way from Columbus all the way down to Louisville, Kentucky. So that would include Dayton and Cincinnati. And what is called the significant tornado parameter. We like to look at this one to see what the odds are of a significant tornado developing. Any number at all indicates that we could have 1 or 2 tornadoes. And the fact that we even have a 2 or a 3 tells me that it's possible. So again, damaging wind, not really a problem at the moment. We had thunder and lightning and heavy rain this morning. My yard got a good soaking from the storm that rolled through Columbus in the 9 o'clock hour. I was happy to see it. My lawn's starting to go a little dormant, so I'm not going to lie. I was pretty excited to get the rain. But those storms, are the fact that they occurred early in the day is going to be a real challenge forecasting what's going to happen this afternoon. So Just because you heard thunder already does not mean we're out of the woods just yet. In fact, I do think for the next 4 or 5 hours, we're still going to have to be mindful of strong thunderstorms here across the Buckeye State. Um, and even though mostly southeastern Ohio has been highlighted for potential damaging winds, I still think anywhere along and south of I-70 and east of I-71 could see a strong thunderstorm later this afternoon, especially if it's sunny where you are right now. So we're going to keep an eye on things. I think the first place to get a severe thunderstorm watch for afternoon development will be southeast Ohio. And then we may see additional regions added to that if things are looking like they're needed. We did get word from the National Weather Service in Wilmington, Ohio, that they are launching a special weather balloon. Typically, they only launch 2 a day, but they're launching a third one today to get better data, which we like to see on days like today, where that data is extremely useful. And that's really gonna help. That's really going to help forecasters this afternoon get the data we need to get an accurate forecast for this. So just keep in mind, you're probably looking at a 4 or 5 hour window of some strong thunderstorms across the Buckeye State, especially south of I-70 and east of I-71. We still could see some storms develop, even in the lower risk areas. So, actually, what I want to do here, if you give me one moment, I can probably pull up the map I drew of the severe weather threat, which the map has not changed much since I drew it late yesterday. So, we can just kind of go with this map. I think it looks decent enough to share. Let me pull that up here real quick. Where is it? Okay, here's the map. Let me put it on screen. Okay, there we go. All right, so it should be on your screen now. I'm going to adjust it to make it look a little bit better. And then we'll reduce the size. Okay, so this was a map I made late yesterday regarding the severe weather risk for today, and I still think it tracks. Maybe our wind and tornado threat has shifted a little bit southeast, but in all honesty, I think any of these things could happen in any of the highlighted areas. So basically, we do have a bit of a slight risk for tornado development anywhere in the brown on the tornado risk side. So when it says 5% for tornadoes, that does not sound bad at all. That's 5%. Well, 95 times out of 100, we're not going to get a tornado. True. That does sound like a pretty low percentage. But if you think about it this way, most days the chance is 0. So if the chance is 0 most of the time and suddenly it's 5%, that's actually kind of a big jump in probability. So I do think anywhere in the brown area on the tornado risk map could see a tornado warning issued at some point in the next few hours. We're going to be watching closely. Right now that's not the case, but we're going to be watching for that throughout the afternoon. And anyone in the green region as well could see a weak tornado spin up. I think the chance is lower, but anywhere in the green region is still highlighted for that reason. But the damaging wind threat, straight line wind, is still going to be the greatest threat here. The pink area, that's 45%. So again, if most days are 0, 45%, that's almost a flip of the coin, where where a damaging wind threat could happen within 25 miles of any location. So I don't think 45% of the people in that area are going to get straight line wind damage today, but basically that's just a way of conveying, oh, hey, there's a pretty big chance of it, and we should really be watching out this afternoon. And then you can see the chance decreases as you go closer to Toledo. Toledo, your risk is pretty low today. But places like Mansfield, Columbus, even Cleveland are in the 30% range, so we could see some storms developing there. Again, along and east of I-71, it's most likely. and along and south of I-70. It would be most likely. So those are some 2 landmarks. Hail isn't going to be the biggest threat, but we could see a couple hailers out there today, with quarter-size hail in a couple storms. So that's kind of what we're looking at here right now. I just kind of wanted to show you guys that. And that I do think our forecast that we made yesterday, in line with the Storm Prediction Center, does still pretty much make sense. All right, so why don't we go over again what's happening right now, and then I'll probably just do a quick little recap, and then I'll end the stream for now, since there's a chance we'll have to be doing some more live coverage later this afternoon when things really ramp up again. We do have a special weather statement issued for this thunderstorm down near Portsmouth. So basically what that's telling me is this storm is producing wind up to 45 miles per hour. And we've seen a quarter-inch hail. Quarter-inch hail is, pea-sized. So not damaging hail, but still loud nonetheless. And that's going to be moving into Kentucky and West Virginia here soon. We have this storm that's no longer severe, although I am seeing some signatures of some hail potential here in Washington County. Let me make sure let me switch to the Charleston radar again. Yeah, there could be some small hail in this storm. There is a flash flood warning, though. I think that's worth covering. Flash flooding is a very serious threat and can claim lives if not taken seriously, particularly people driving or people who live at the bottom of hills. This is a hilly region where, in the Appalachian foothills here. So, it's a flash flood warning. That'll run until about 5 o'clock today, 4:45 maybe, for Western Washington County. And then we also have this one for northern Athens County until the same amount of time because of this storm that's already passed. So the storm that caused it is already passed, but again, we could see more storms developing. So we really want to watch out for that. We also have this one in southern Muskingum County, not severe, but still producing a lot of heavy rain. And we have a flood advisory for Hocking and southern Fairfield County. The Hocking River could be getting a little bit high there. And that's it. Major cities are fine at the moment. But again, we are going to be looking out for some more storm development later this afternoon. Let me just give you a quick summary before we take a break. So back to the Storm Prediction Center, basically nowcast. We are seeing some sun returning to many places that had storms this morning. So that means the atmosphere could re-energize itself, and we could be looking at more strong thunderstorms as we head into the afternoon. So we'll be watching that very carefully. There's a lot of instability out there. So that's what I'm showing on the screen right now is how much instability is going on. I'm seeing very high instability levels out here near Dayton. Much less instability here between about Mansfield, Columbus, Coshocton, where we had storms earlier. That said, if we get sun in those regions, it's already getting kind of sunny here on the south side of Columbus. We could see some re-energizing there. And we do also have a little bit of spin in the atmosphere, particularly in southeast Ohio at this time. So nothing happening at the moment, but the ingredients are there. We should see an update from the Storm Prediction Center here very soon regarding where they're going to put a severe thunderstorm watch. We're going to see a severe thunderstorm watch at some point. Which counties are in it and the extent of the severe weather redevelopment this afternoon is still really going to be depending on how much sun we get. But we will see that. So that's that. Well, thank you all for watching our afternoon stream. Again, we are going to hopefully keep a good eye on things, and if another live stream warrants this afternoon, if we have more storms to cover, we will certainly do that. But for now, it's been great hanging out with you guys here a little bit, and well, I'm just looking through some comments here really quick. Let me just make sure I address a few things really quick. Really, let me just since we've had a lot of questions about specific cities, let me just give a blanket statement. Really, it depends on where the sun comes out again. If the sun comes out where you live, I do think there's a chance for more storms again later this afternoon, more energy. If it didn't storm where you live earlier today, you have a higher chance. But we're just gonna have to see on where the persistent sunshine happens throughout the afternoon. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. All right, well, thanks for watching, and we'll cut back in later if we have.